Hello everybody, Mike here with The Social Life of Language, bringing to you another video production tutorial for teachers, educators, and anyone else interested. Remember, all these videos are available anytime by donating to my Patreon account. Today we're going to be talking about constructing your background, designing your background. This is a strangely ideologically charged topic. Some people really think that you should be sitting in front of a blank wall or maybe a green screen. Then there's others who don't really care and kind of just set up wherever. And then there's others who see their background as an opportunity to present something about themselves, to say something about you as a person. Now, right off the bat, I'm gonna address the green screen idea. If you don't have a professional camera, a professional editor, and professional editing software, then don't do it. It looks terrible. I'm seeing people's hands disappear in and out of the frame, or maybe their ears all of a sudden disappear, or their hair disappears. And it's because your laptop camera or your cell phone camera does not have enough video data to actually work very well with a green screen. It just can't handle it. If you're really in love with that idea, then I suggest that you buy a dedicated DSLR camera. Other than that, just don't do it. It's distracting. Now, moving on to an actual real background. I think at the beginning, our go-to is having a blank wall or having nothing in your background. So I'm gonna show you guys how to make this a little bit more interesting. And this is basically just using a single lamp or a light that you happen to have in your house. For one of my other video tutorials, I wanted to see if I could make a blank wall interesting. Honestly, I hated it. I'm used to seeing this view with Christmas lights over here and a lamp over here, some frames on the wall, but nevertheless, I decided to try to make a blank background, knowing that at some point I was gonna make this video. Let me full screen that just for a couple seconds. And notice the radical shift in mood immediately. You might think it's better, you might not like it as much. Either way, here it is. Now, first off, it's not totally blank. You do got some pictures in the background, and also I'm using a gray wall, even though at my place, I have a white wall. So why do this? Why choose the colored wall? And this is actually really important. Try not to sit in front of a wall that is close to your skin tone. I don't think I can think of anything less exciting than seeing my teacher or professor literally blending into the background, which happens because our cell phones and our laptops don't necessarily pick up colors very well. So you have to be careful about where you sit. So I chose a gray wall so that my skin tone and the color of my clothing pop just a little bit. It's about creating a contrast from your background, or to feel a separation from your background. However, the key to this is lighting. Now, first off, me, the subject, is well lit. And I have another separate video specifically talking about lighting your main subject or lighting yourself. For that one, you can click here or here, wherever it is. Now, second to this blank background setup is actually just a plain ass lamp, which I positioned on the floor right behind me. And that created this subtle glow, which makes me, the main subject, pop just a little bit more. Now, the important thing here is that the glow is subtle. It should almost be imperceptible. Now, think of those conference calls where someone might have their laptop maybe on their lap or low on a desk, and you can see up to their ceiling, and there's a light up there that's creating this halo effect around their head. I don't think it matters too much on a Zoom call, but if you're trying to design a background, that looks a little bit weird. So if you put your lamp on the floor behind you to create this subtle glow, and it's just a little bit too bright, and you're getting a little bit too much of that angelic halo effect, all you gotta do is find a thin t-shirt and toss it over your lamp. But here's a super bonus tip. Let's say you only have a white wall. Maybe you can toss a colored t-shirt over your lamp and give yourself a glow and a colored wall. If you want to get real fancy, try a colored light bulb. Just try it out. I've done it, it works. Now on to constructing a normal looking background. If I'm being really honest with you, I'm thinking that this idea of a blank background is supposed to visually represent objectivity, or a teacher unaffected by social bias. To me, the blank background looks very unnatural. It's just not how people live. And a lot of us probably feel that already. So we end up putting ourselves in front of something like a bookshelf, which is okay. I definitely think that is way better than the blank background. But again, you have to create a contrast between yourself and the background. If it looks really cluttered back there, you gotta clean it up. Try taking off some books, like a lot of them. It's really hard to see you if you have like a freaking rainbow of books back there. How about you try putting up the important ones or your favorite ones? Something that says something about you personally or as an educator. And maybe, just maybe, you'll connect with one of your students or one of your viewers because they happen to also love that book. These are ways that your background can help you create an on-screen personality. Now, a lot of us don't like teaching digitally. That's fine. I totally understand that. We feel like we look boring or we sound boring. Well, you don't have to look boring. That is an easy fix, honestly. So if you're not using your background to say something about yourself or to help construct you as an educator or a teacher or to help construct your personality, then I think you're missing a really easy opportunity. Now let's move on to some more advanced lighting techniques. A lot of us won't have these little accessories that I'm using, so you can either buy them, I'll put links below, or you can just figure out how to use what you got. Just like when I said, you only have a white wall, so put a colored t-shirt over a lamp. Now in my background at the moment, which is basically my main background for my YouTube channel, I only have 2 extra lights that you can see, but they also have extra functions. They work to create a frame. So think of a picture frame. Now a picture frame is meant to be decorative, but actually it tells you what to look at. Think of having a really awesome picture, but just stuck on the wall without a frame. Suddenly that picture looks way less important. So visually, the frames are meant to draw your attention to the subject. It tells you, this is the important part. I generally put these 2 lights as my frame. They aren't meant to be visually distracting. They're just meant to call attention to what's in front of them. Now those lights right here, those are pretty self-explanatory. Those are just your basic Christmas lights. But they also have the function of literally saying, this is where the frame ends. It literally outlines the frame. It accentuates the outline of the shot. Now this little lamp over here is actually way more interesting. Now remember, you want something that doesn't really call too much attention to itself. So at the beginning, I bought the weakest light bulb possible, but I still didn't quite like it. It was still a little bit too bright. So that's what it looks like with the regular light bulb. So what I did is I bought this really tiny LED light, something like this. I put some Velcro tape right here. I put some Velcro tape inside the lampshade and I stuck it inside. And there you go, the light is not too bright. It doesn't call attention to itself at all. It does a job of framing the shot, and it adds a little bit of color to that white wall. Now it also provides a little bit of another frame. If you notice this light on my arm, this outline of light on my arm, also a little bit of the yellowish light on this side of my face. That's what the lamp appears to be doing. But actually I have another light lighting up my arm and my face. If I did this right, you should not have actually noticed my arm or the face. it should have totally passed under your radar. Now this side light is actually a pretty advanced lighting tip. It's way less important than your overall background. But if I turn off the light, all of a sudden you realize, hey, that kinda looked nice. Now that it's gone, I can definitely tell it looks better with the light. The light itself helps me look more three-dimensional. It literally traces an edge around me and separates me from the background, almost as if it's giving my body a frame. Let's turn it back on. It just looks a little bit better. But you know what gives this room a more three-dimensional shape is that picture frame. That rectangle gives the feeling of a longer room. If it wasn't there, it would seem as though that was just a plain, flat wall. So your background can really help you create an interesting visual representation of yourself. My first tip is to find a decent starter background and declutter it, leaving only the things that represent you as a person or you as a scholar. You don't have to have all these abstract reasons to decorate, like wanting to give a three-dimensional shape to my room through this frame. It could literally just be a movie poster, and that movie just so happens to be the favorite movie of one of your students or a member of your audience, and all of a sudden you made a connection with that person. If you're a lit professor, put your favorite books back there, just your favorite books. If you're a math teacher, there's plenty of math wall art out there. Something that says, yeah, I'm a math nerd and I own it. If you're a science teacher, put maybe a microscope back there or some lab equipment. Maybe run some Christmas lights through it. You get the point. Now to end this, I'm gonna take off all my lights. I'm gonna take off all the frames to really hit the point home. The background can have a drastic effect on your videos. Let's turn everything off. Well, that is all for today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this advanced tutorial on lighting your background. A tutorial that is completely unbiased because I am an objective researcher. If you would like super secret access to all these videos, you can donate to my Patreon account for lots and lots of exciting videos. This is Michael Mena with the Social Life of Language, and we are done.